Extended rains and a cold wave persists everywhere. But still, the spirits is not getting dampened. Welcome once again to News Analysis. News Analysis, a weekly magazine on current affairs. To begin with the main points in a nutshell. Key Karzai aide in corruption inquiry is linked to CIA. Coordinated attacks strike 13 Iraqi cities. UN reviews security after Pakistani Taliban threat. Suspended sentence for German HIV singer Najah Benaissa. Fugitive polypec tycoon Asil Nadir returns to UK. In Pakistan, Taliban hint at attacks on relief workers. Now the news in detail. Key Karzai aide in corruption inquiries linked to CIA. The aide to President Hamid Karzai of Afghanistan, at the center of a potentially sensitive corruption investigation, is being paid by the Central Intelligence Agency, according to Afghan and American officials. Mohammad Zia Salehi, the Chief of Administration for the National Security Council, appears to have been on the payroll for many years, according to the officials in Kabul and Washington. It's unclear exactly what Mr. Salehi does in exchange for his money, whether providing information to the spy agency, advancing American views inside the presidential palace, or both. Mr. Salehi's relationship with CIA underscores deep contradiction at the heart of Obama administration's policy in Afghanistan, with American officials simultaneously demanding that Mr. Karzai root out corruption that pervades his government, while sometimes subsidizing the very people suspected of perpetrating it. Mr. Salehi was arrested in July and released after Mr. Karzai intervened. There has been no suggestion that Mr. Salehi's ties to the CIA played a role in his release. Rather, officials say it's the fear that Mr. Salehi knows about corrupt dealings inside the Karzai administration. Coordinated attacks strike 13 Iraqi cities. Insurgents unleashed a wave of coordinated attacks across Iraq on Wednesday in a demonstration of their ability to strike at will, offering their counterpoint to American aspirations of bringing the war in Iraq to a responsible end. In attacks in 13 towns and cities from southernmost Basra to rusty Mosul in the north, insurgents deployed their full arsenal, hit-and-run shootings, roadside mines, and more than a dozen car bombs. The toll was in the dozens, but symbolism underscored a theme of America's experience here. Its deadlines, including the August 31 date to end combat operations, have rarely reflected the tumultuous reality on the ground and have often been accompanied by a wave of insurgent attacks. The message the insurgents want to deliver to the Iraqi people and the politician is that we exist and we choose a time and place, said Wael Adel Latif, a judge and former lawmaker. They are carrying out such attacks when the Americans are still here, so just imagine what they can do after the Americans leave the place. In coming days, the Obama administration will seek to portray the reduction in troops here to fewer than 50,000, reached Tuesday as a turning point 7 years of invasion, occupation, and war. President Obama will deliver a speech on Tuesday marking the deadline. The next day, the mission will be renamed New Dawn, at a ceremony expected to draw much of the military brass to a sprawling base near the Baghdad airport. UN reviews security after Pakistani Taliban threat. The UN is reviewing security measures for its aid workers in Pakistan after a warning of the new threats from Pakistani Taliban. A US official said militants plan to attack foreigners delivering aid to the millions of people affected by the devastating floods in the country. One Taliban spokesman told Associated Press that the presence of foreign aid workers was unacceptable. However, there have been no attacks since the humanitarian crisis unfolded. The UN says more than 17 million people have been affected by the floods and about 1.2 million homes have been destroyed, leaving 5 million people homeless. As floods sweep down from the north, water has been breaching embankments and threatening residents. One breach occurred in the Kot Almo area in Sindh province, forcing thousands of people in the southern Thatta district to flee from their homes. Further downstream, about 4 lakh people have been told to evacuate the towns of Sujawal, Mirpur, Botoro and Daro. Evacuation in those areas is ongoing, but we have issued another warning for the remaining people to leave as well. Saleh Faruqi, Director General of the National Disaster Management Agency, Sindh office, told Reuters news agency. As per reports coming from Shadalkot, further north in Sindh, that as a breach there widened, a series of fields rapidly filled up, taking on the appearance of an inland sea. Suspended sentence for German HIV singer Najah Ben-Isa. Najah Ben-Isa have faced up to 10 years in prison. An HIV-positive German porn star accused of infecting a former partner with a virus has been given a 2-year suspended prison sentence. Najah Ben-Isa, 28, was found guilty of 1 count of causing grievous bodily harm and 2 of attempted bodily harm. The No Angel singer had admitted having unprotected sex and keeping her HIV status secret, but denied deliberately infecting anyone. At the trial, she said she was sorry from the bottom of my heart. I wish I could turn back the clock and make it all not happen, she told the court in the western town of Darmstadt. As well as the 2-year suspended sentence, Ben-Isa will be required to perform 300 hours of community service and attend regular counseling sessions. Ben-Isa had sex with 3 people without telling them she was infected with HIV. One of them, a 34-year-old talent agent who was a plaintiff in the case, was confirmed as having contracted the virus. Medical experts testified at the trial that they were in all probability infected with the same strain, as it was relatively rare in Germany. Pakistan floods, the worst is yet to happen. The 2 women from Islamabad who decided to put their personal lives on hold in order to help Pakistani flood victims described the areas they visited and what they did there. Huma Beg returned to flood-stricken Swat shortly after she had filmed a documentary there about recovery in the post-Taliban era. I was in Swat in July. We were filming celebrations marking the new era of peace after the Taliban had gone. We visited Utror, a village so remote that for the locals there we were the first outside people they saw after the militants. Little did I know that a week after I had come back to Islamabad, I would return to that same village only to film a new tragedy. The difference I saw was incredible. Where orchards once stood, there was nothing, a wasteland of water and stones. We went back to make a film about the floods, and we did this as a public service free of charge. The films we made were shown at the National Donor Conference at the UN, and they are on YouTube. It's our aim to show as many people as possible the extent of the damage and the profound effects of the people living there. Fugitive poly-pack tycoon Asli Nadir returns to UK. Fugitive tycoon Asil Nadir has flown back to the UK after evading trial since 1993. Mr. Nadir, 69, left his home in northern Cyprus to face fraud charges relating to the collapse of his poly-pack business empire in 1990. He told the BBC and other reporters that he had fled Britain after battling with immense injustice and tremendous abuse of power. He has driven to London and will appear at the Old Bailey on 3rd September. A bail surety of £250,000 has been paid. The businessman arrived at Luton Airport at 13:23 BST on Thursday, where he was met by immigration officials. Accompanied by his wife, he was surrounded by photographers when he left the plane, before being driven from the airport in Grey Jaguar and with a police escort.